I'm still hiding my second life from police, honestly. I'm your host Yusuf, and these are top 10 scary details about Bryan Kohberger he tried to hide from the police. Make sure you subscribe and ring that bell to get notified whenever we upload a new video. Anyways, let's hide. Number 10, BTK. The BTK had to report his thoughts on the case to TMZ because no one else would listen. The BTK serial ender seems to be shocked in either a good way or a bad way, I can't tell, that Bryan Kohberger shares some of his traits and that one of his own attacks, a quadruple termination, is scarily similar to the Idaho student slayings. Dennis Rader, who gave himself the nickname BTK, told TMZ in a new email he believes Kohberger would lie in wait for his victims, stalking them and casing their home. All of this, BTK says, was much like I did, referencing Kohberger's dark mind, which he can relate to. BTK also pointed out chilling parallels between his brutal 1974 termination of the Otero family in Kansas and the 4 slain University of Idaho students whom Kohberger has been charged with fatally stabbing in an off-campus home. And 4, much like the Oteros, up close and personal stabbed, BTK wrote, although he asphyxiated 4 Otero family members after tying them up in their Wichita house. He went on to mention that Kohberger left DNA at the crime scene just like he did at the Otero house, leaving his fluids on one of the victim's body. It took police years to link BTK to the crimes after advancement in DNA technology. However, Kohberger was soon connected to the Idaho terminations after his DNA was found on a knife sheath, cops said. It seems Kohberger is following in the footsteps of BTK, and BTK seems almost proud. That's creepy. Number 9, he might have been trying to solve his own crime. The man charged with slaughtering 4 Idaho college students may have joined online chat groups to discuss some of the facts of the brutal slayings with internet sleuths. Bryan Kohberger might have been the person or persons making claims about the quadruple execution case, using the Facebook and Redditor handles Papa Roger and Inside Looking, respectively, according to former FBI agent Jennifer Coffindaffer. Coffindaffer, who is tracking both accounts, says many of the allegations made by the individual turned out to be factually accurate, causing her to think it could have been Bryan. In 2 of the postings, the person or persons offered a correct timeline for the executions and mentioned the knife sheath left at the crime scene before police publicly released those details. Here's what one of the messages said, this time coming from the Inside Looking account. Speculation. Butcher parked behind the house, approached property from the tree line, entered sliding door and left it open. Committed executions and exited sliding door. 1 knife according to coroner's statement. Time of slaying approximately 3:20 in the morning to 3:40 in the morning according to car fleeing scene and on camera on Highway 8 approximately 3:45 in the morning. Vehicle left skid marks upon exit. Multiple details starting from when the user mentioned the butcher committed the executions then fled from the sliding door were correct. One user wrote underneath the Reddit post that the dude is solving his own crime and that he's a psycho, followed by a couple of emojis. Number 8, Kohberger might have been bullied. Or was he the bully? At least one individual who knew Kohberger when they were really young recalled Kohberger as being quiet but friendly, and that he was bullied by peers over his weight. He was bullied a lot. It started because of his weight, and it was mainly by females. He was pretty big. Sarah Healy, who attended elementary, middle, and high school with Kohberger in Pleasant Valley, Pennsylvania, told People magazine. He was very quiet, very to himself. He was very into his books, and he was really sweet and really quiet. Others who knew Kohberger didn't recall him being bullied at all. Casey Arntz, who was 2 years ahead of Kohberger in high school in Pleasant Valley, said he didn't remember Kohberger ever being bullied and alleged that while Kohberger was always nice to her, he actually bullied her brother at times. I know that he had anger issues and he would have outbursts and stuff. I never saw them face to face. My brother said that when Bryan would get angry with him, he would kind of gaslight him and get physically aggressive. Bryan never got physically aggressive with my brother, but he was kind of the person who would smash things or punch a wall or something like that. Makes sense why he would hide this from the police, as being bullied might have been a motive for this crime. Number 7, he might have been close friends with a needle. Several of Kohberger's classmates from his teens recalled him using a substance in a needle, with some alleging that Kohberger offered the substance to others before he went to rehab in 2013. Lee Mack, who graduated from Pleasant Valley High School in 2012, told People that she befriended Kohberger after meeting him at a party. Bryan never gave off red flags that I knew of. He was always weird, but what teenage kid who's trying to find himself isn't weird, you know? She said, noting that Kohberger briefly joined her friend group, but then they grew apart after Kohberger allegedly offered another friend a substance. He offered my best friend a substance in a needle, and we just realized he was a little bit more far gone than we had expected to deal with, and so we had to end our friendship," Max said. She added that Kohberger later reached out to her 2 years after graduation. He said, "Hey, I'm getting clean. I want to do something really good for my life and for people." Number 6, he has a psychology degree. This might be why he could have been in those crime group chats, trying to solve his own crime. He might have been studying his own psychology to find and remove his imperfections. Kohberger earned a bachelor's degree in psychology at a local community college near his eastern Pennsylvania hometown, the New York Times reported. Jack Bayless, who befriended Kohberger in 8th grade, told People magazine that Kohberger was very interested in psychology as a teen. "He is super curious, probably the most curious person who you'll ever meet, guaranteed," Bayless said. He was really into psychology, how people thought and whatnot. He's always been really into that kind of stuff. If you're like, "Oh, why do people like this? Why do men blah blah blah, or why do women blah blah blah?" He'd get all into those kinds of things and wondering differences between just how different people think and all that, Bayless added. Reconciling the idea that his childhood friend is accused of ending 4 young adults hasn't been easy. Bayless, who last saw Kohberger in 2021 when they shot airsoft guns at each other, explained, "He's always been nice to me, always friendly to me. Never seemed like a bad guy," Bayless said. "I hope he's innocent. I hope it was anyone else, because you don't want your friend to have been a butcher. It's not fun." Number 5, he has a master's in criminal justice. DeSales University confirmed in a statement that Kohberger was an alum. Kohberger received a bachelor's degree in 2020 and completed his graduate studies in June 2022. A message on the university website read, "Kohberger received a master's degree in criminal justice. We are devastated by this senseless tragedy. We also recognize the impact this news can have on our community's well-being. DeSales has expanded counseling services for students, faculty, and staff," the statement continued. "As a Catholic Salesian community, we extend deep sympathy and prayers to the family and friends of the victims." While studying at DeSales, Kohberger posted a since-deleted call on Reddit for ex-convicts to participate in what he said was a study sanctioned by the university on how emotions and psychological traits influence decision-making when committing a crime. One of his classmates at DeSales, Brittany Slavin, told the New York Times that Kohberger seemed rather interested in serial slaughterers and developing theories on what happened at crime scenes based on photos presented in class, but this behavior didn't raise any flags for her at the time. At the time, it seemed as if he was just a curious student, so if his questions felt odd, we didn't think much of it because it fit our curriculum, she explained. Casey Arntz recalled Kohberger being interested in criminal justice when he was still in high school, but she believed his addiction delayed his plans to go to college to study the subject. "He definitely was interested in criminal justice back then," she said, "and I'm seeing from other people now that from former friends and acquaintances and even teachers that said he was always interested in it and he loved crime movies and TV shows and stuff like that." Number 4, he was warned by a bar. Several months ago, Kohberger was warned about his interactions with women working and frequenting a bar in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Jordan Sorolnik, the owner of Seven Sirens Brewing Company, told NBC News. Sorolnik explains that the bar staff scan IDs of all patrons and that they can add notes that pop up in their internal system. Staff put in there, "Hey, this guy makes creepy comments, keep an eye on him. He'll have 2 or 3 beers and then just get a little too comfortable," Sorolnik recalled. The brewery owner added that Kohberger would often sit alone at the bar, observing and watching other patrons, and that he asked female staff and customers questions about where they lived and who they were at the bar with. Sorolnik said that if women weren't interested in conversing with Kohberger, he would get upset with them a little bit, and that Kohberger called a female staffer a B-word when she wouldn't answer his questions. Sorolnik said of his final interaction with Kohberger, "I went up to him and I said, 'Hey Bryan, welcome back. We appreciate you coming back. I just wanted to tell you real quick and make sure that you're going to be respectful this time and we're not going to have any issues.'" Sorolnik said that Kohberger seemed shocked at his remarks and told the owner, "I don't know what you're talking about. You totally have me confused." Sorolnik says that Kohberger never returned to the bar after that conversation. Number 3, he was pulled over on a road trip twice. After Kohberger was arrested, body camera footage was released that showed him getting pulled over twice in one day while on a cross-country road trip from Washington to Pennsylvania with his father. Kohberger was driving a white Hyundai Elantra, the same vehicle authorities were searching for in connection with the case, and the same vehicle my friend Ahmed calls the Batmobile. To be fair, his car is pretty fast and it's blacked out. He was stopped both times for following a vehicle too closely. He was released with a verbal warning on both occasions, and after Kohberger's arrest, the vehicle was taken from his family home. At the time of the traffic stop, there was no information available on a suspect for the crimes in Idaho, to include identifying information or any specific information related to the license plate state or number of the white Hyundai Elantra, which was being reported in the media to have been seen in and around where the crime occurred. The Hancock County Sheriff's Office said in a statement obtained by multiple outlets. What are the chances, eh? Number 2, his DNA was found on the sheath of a knife. Listen, I know it's a really bad thing and the crimes are terrible, but how hard is it to take the weapon with you? How do people actually get caught leaving their weapon at the crime scene? If you know, let me know in the comments below. According to the affidavit, which was reviewed by People, a sheath of the knife used in the executions was left at the scene in the bed where Mogan and Gonsalves were found. The affidavit states that this is where detectives found DNA linking Kohberger, which they then matched to trash taken from Kohberger's parents' home in Pennsylvania. The affidavit also alleged that around 4:20 a.m. on the night of the execution, a white sedan referred to as Suspect Vehicle 1 in the affidavit was seen leaving the area of the home at a fast rate of speed. The document also stated that the vehicle and phone associated with Kohberger returned to the crime scene between 9:12 in the morning and 9:21 in the morning. Additionally, the affidavit alleged that while investigating previous cell phone pings, authorities learned that the cell phone associated with Kohberger pinged in the area of 1122 King Road home, where the executions took place on at least 12 occasions prior to November 13th, 2022. All of these occasions, except for one, occurred in the late evening and early morning hours of their respective days, the affidavit read. Number 1, his personality changed. Joey Famularo had Kohberger as a teaching assistant in one of her classmates at Washington State, and previously spoke about her experiences with him on TikTok. She recalled that Kohberger was a tough grader early in the semester, but that his behavior changed after November 12, 2022, when the executions occurred. She noted that there was no real red flags about him, and that her class of 150 students didn't see him very often, but explained after November 12th, his behavior suddenly changed significantly. Famularo noted that in October, Kohberger had failed all of his students on a test and left several comments on their work. Then, starting November and December, he started just handing out hundreds and leaving very minimal comments, she said. So that was, I think, probably the biggest behavior change. It seems he had his mind busy with other things. Thanks for watching. Leave a like and comment if you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you next time on Crime Time.